Hello, have you managed to get through the linear and vari-colour Open Studio virtual tours Spring 2021? Congratulations, quite a feat. You deserve a cuppa and probably a biscuit for sustenance, especially as you embark on my last virtual tour. Here I'm covering the period from 2014 to now, with a few paintings to show you the architecture that inspires me. Modern, glass, metal, contemporary statements of building techniques for business and shopping environments, plus some of the more historical buildings that show the passage of time. I dipped my toes into collage recently too, which has been a lot of fun, representing images I've collected over the last decade or so. So I'm going to start with how I came to this kind of style that I'm enjoying painting at the moment. It was because I had done a number of drawings when I went to Canary Wharf, and this particular painting was the transition between the vari-colour pastel ones, where I had represented the drawing using those colours, but I then decided to try representing it in a different manner. So I took the same drawing and then painted it again like this, which was the beginning of my Cityscape series, which lasted for about 5-6 years. In fact, probably I'm still doing a bit of it now. So this is Canary Wharf, and this is the end of the DLR. And then I moved on to this kind of painting here. I'm sorry it's got lines across it. I've waited all day to try and not get any, but I will try and post a proper photograph of it because I can't get the zigzags out of it from the blinds above. But I will focus in. And this is a shopping centre in Germany where I took photographs. And I was very fortunate that it actually got selected for the Sunday Times watercolour exhibition as well. And it shows people going about their business on the stairs. It's actually a man holding a buggy, looking a little serious, people walking past, and in the shops as well. That's called Escalation, and I painted that in 2016. So I shall get off the light and move more into here. And there's this one here, which is called Colour Grid 1. This was painted in 2013. Yes, it's Canary Wharf, still inspired by it. So lots of patterns and shapes and angles, and the multicoloured backgrounds of blues and reds, fiery yellows and oranges. This one is in Victoria, and it's called Look Right. As you can probably see that it is down partially there. And again, it was a building on the corner of Victoria Road. And I took all the reflections and details from there. That was done last year. This one here is called On the Way to Parliament Square. There's quite a strange building there with a big, almost like a trompe l'oeil effect in the glass, with the strong diagonals you can see too, and details. And each of these shapes really were there. I didn't make them up. They're really there. So they're blinds or reflections or computers or tables or people looking in, people looking out, looking across. This one is called Victoria 80, as it is number 80, Victoria Street in London. And it's the beginning of a shopping centre with some very dynamic architecture. And again, lots of details of escalators that you can imagine, and rotating doors, people shopping, walking past towards the station. I think people will recognise this building here. I used to work very close to here, which was quite nice to paint it many moons ago. And this is from Cheapside. This is the shopping centre view. I'd seen a photograph of it, so when I was up there last year I decided to take a photograph of it myself and see if I could do something with it. So I've actually done a left-hand version and a right-hand version of this. And that was painted last year too. So yeah, these are the lockdown paintings, a lot of 2021s. This was at Canary Wharf. It's the reflection of a railway station's roof through to the building above. And there's actually a signpost, which is here, telling you all sorts of things, advertising things as well. But it distorts, it's this distortion I love, as the solid buildings bend and buckle in the reflective glass. And also you get like cloud passing and all the different surroundings. This one is an older one, well, as in it's of an old building, Colchester Castle, and it isn't something I normally do, but I was quite fascinated to see if I could render all of the brickwork, which really does show the passage of time, all these different kinds of interventions over the centuries. And this is actually part of my museum series. I did a number of paintings of museum interiors, and this is in fact inside Colchester Castle, as they have quite a fantastic museum there. And this was seen through glass from one of the upper floors looking down to a lower floor, so there were lots of exhibits and people walking around. This was quite a bit of fun. This is actually Broadgate Tower. I was lucky enough to be able to get inside the building and took some photographs of the escalator and the interior structure of the architects there, as I did a visit to the architect's home, and found the building quite amazing. I showed it to somebody afterwards, and in fact they said, oh, if you look through the building you can see my building, I work in there. As it was a bit of fun, I enjoyed doing it, and it was the beginning of a whole series that I did of danced titles, because a lot of this does have a dance-like quality to it with the movement. So I did paintings such as Canary Cakewalk, Lloyd's Lambada and Cheapside Cha-Cha, and this one's called Broadgate Bolero. This one is also Victoria, and this is actually on the bottom right hand side was the goldsmith's jewellery shop, and the window displays are there, rendered slightly less detail, as you can imagine. And it also shows both the passage of light and also the interiors of people working in there, and the reflection of the building opposite in the glass. This painting here is called Without a Backward Glance, and it was a chance photograph I took some years ago just outside Liverpool Street Station, of this lady walking up some stairs heading towards Exchange Square. And it doesn't look anything like that now, because it was undergoing very extensive renovations and new builds on the left hand side, so it doesn't look like that any longer. But again, it was a caught in time, so it will never look like that again. This one here is the one we started with, and it's called Victoria 80, and as you can probably see, it is a small version of the previous one. I often do two sizes because I don't make any decisions as to whether they work better as a large or a small until I actually paint them and decide at the time. So this is the small version, and that is the larger version. And I wanted to show you this one here, which is a painting called the D7 bus. Let's see if I can get it so that the light's on it. And that bus is the D7 bus that serves Canary Wharf. And this was part of the Citygate series that I was doing, but in fact this one was one of a number that were commissioned by the Canary Wharf group for an exhibition I was offered in Crossrail Gardens in 2018. And my exhibition was called Dynamic City, and it was part of the London Festival of Architecture. So this was the original painting. And then this was the metal, it's made in aluminium, panel test of that particular painting. And that was the small size, and then it was enlarged to 2.2 meters, which was quite substantial. And it was, there were 9 of them. The panels were put around Crossrail Gardens in Canary Wharf as part of the Festival of Architecture. And they were they're sort of embedded within the gardens as well. So, and this is just a really quick look at some of the collages that I have done, where I've used different images of mine, which is Canary Wharf and Liverpool Street Station, and these are lots of different buildings all melded together. And I've also included here one of my drawings, which is an aerial view of Waterloo Station, and that's how I do my drawings, which inform the paintings that I do. So I'm very fortunate that people who look at these paintings, they mean something to a lot of people, and they like to tell me the stories that mean something to them. Lots of tales of their lives spent there. Some have worked in the buildings that I've painted, or the area, and have more fond memories of them. Some people didn't much like their time there as well. So a lot of them have a fondness for the places that they know or visited. And these stories that we talk about at Open Studios often add a lot of depth and warmth to the subjects that I've chosen. And that is the beauty of Open Studios, which unfortunately we haven't been able to do this year so far and couldn't do last year. So this exchange of recollections, it hasn't been possible, but you can always get involved on social media with this if you wish to. Talk to me about it and give me your thoughts. And thank you very much for watching all of them, or some of them, or whatever you've done. So I appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you. Goodbye.